Look at your phone. Every notification, every instant reply, every "I'm free whenever you are" text is a slow-acting poison to your perceived value. You think you are being reliable. You think you are being a good friend, a dedicated employee, or a loving partner. You are wrong. You are becoming a commodity, and commodities are cheap. In the world of the elite, presence is common, but absence is a currency. Think about the diamond in the dirt. It isn't valuable because it's beautiful. It is valuable because it is hard to find. When you are always available, you are like air. Necessary, yes, but no one pays for the air they breathe. People only pay for what they fear losing. Today, we are going to dismantle the obsession with being present. I will show you how to use withdrawal as a weapon, how to turn your silence into a demand, and why the most powerful person in any hierarchy is always the one who is the hardest to reach. Welcome to the scarcity trap. Welcome back to the shadows. The law of supply and demand doesn't just apply to oil and gold. It applies to your soul. Every time you say yes too quickly, the supply of you increases. And as supply goes up, the price people are willing to pay for your time, your opinion, and your attention drops to zero. Manipulation is often seen as an act of doing something to someone. But the most refined form of social engineering is the act of not doing. When you stop responding instantly, a psychological vacuum is created. The other person's brain, wired for pattern recognition, notices the missing piece. They begin to wonder, why isn't he replying? What is he doing? Is there someone more important than me? This uncertainty is the birthplace of obsession. By being absent, you occupy more space in their mind than you ever did by being present. You aren't just a person anymore. You are a mystery that needs to be solved, and the human ego cannot stand an unsolved mystery. It will work over time, crafting stories, building you up into something greater than you are, simply because it cannot have you. Let's get into the mechanics of the sudden exit. Most people make the mistake of staying until the energy of a room has been exhausted. They wait for the conversation to dry up, for the jokes to stop being funny, and for the host to start looking at their watch. By then, your value has already begun to decay. You have stayed long enough to become predictable. Shadow logic dictates a different path. You must leave when the spotlight is at its brightest. When you are in a meeting and you've just delivered your most impactful point, that is your exit cue. When you are on a date and the laughter is genuine and the connection feels electric, that is when you end the night. Why? Because you want to leave them with an unfinished psychological loop. When you vanish at the peak of an experience, the other person's brain is forced to replay that peak over and over again. They aren't remembering the goodbye. They are remembering the high. This is called the peak end rule in behavioral psychology. But in the shadows, we call it the hook. By cutting the supply while the demand is skyrocketing, you force the other person to value every future second they spend with you. You are no longer a person they hang out with. You are an event they must prepare for. Think of yourself as a high-end gallery. You don't stay open 24 hours a day like a convenience store. You have specific hours. You have a velvet rope. You have a price for admission. If they can't meet the price, they don't get the view. This isn't arrogance. It is the tactical preservation of your most limited resource, your presence. To master scarcity, you must understand the terror it induces. Humans are social animals, and for thousands of years, being ignored or excluded meant death in the wild. When you strategically withdraw your attention, you aren't just being busy, you are triggering a primal alarm in the other person's amygdala. This is where the fear of missing out FOMO becomes a lethal weapon in your hands. When you stop being the one who initiates, when you stop being the one who checks in, the other person begins to feel the walls of exclusion closing in. Their brain starts a frantic search for why you have shifted your focus. They will subconsciously assume that you have found a higher status group, a more profitable venture, or a more attractive partner. They don't see your absence as a void. They see it as an upgrade they weren't invited to. This creates a desperate, almost biological need to chase you. They will begin to overinvest. They will offer more information, more concessions in business, and more emotional vulnerability just to regain their status in your life. But here is the iron rule of the shadows. You must never explain your absence. Explaining is an act of submission. If you say, "Sorry, I was busy with work," you have just handed them the keys to your cage. You have told them that you are still under their influence and feel the need to justify yourself. True scarcity requires no explanation. Your time is yours. Your reasons are yours. The moment you start explaining, the mystery dies. And when the mystery dies, the hunt is over. Now, I have a mission for you, a test of your discipline. For the next 48 hours, I want you to practice the 24-hour buffer. Do not reply to any non-emergency message for a full day. Watch your own anxiety rise as you see the notifications pile up. That anxiety is your ego begging for external validation. Kill it. Observe how the other people react. Some will get angry. Some will get worried. Scarcity is not a trick you play on others. It is a war you win against yourself. It is the ability to sit in a room alone and realize that your value does not depend on a glowing screen or a social like. You are the prize. You are the architect. And the architect is never the most accessible person in the building. Use this power wisely. If you use it to be petty, you will lose. If you use it to build an aura of mystery and high-status independence, you will win every room you ever enter. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of the human machine. If you want to see the gears behind the curtain, you know what to do. Subscribe to Shadow Eloquence. Step away from the noise. Step into the shadows. The next lesson will be even more uncomfortable. I suggest you prepare yourself. We will be waiting.